so I'm bored. And my next two projects are gonna be a lot bigger than anticipated, so bear with me as I work on those. Today is gonna be an easier video for me to edit. Hopefully. Because today is gonna be a quick discussion and watch of the new Twitter original, The New Norm. Now, if you're like me and you don't have Twitter and you actually enjoy going outside and touching grass in a consensual way, then you would have no idea what this is. Unless, of course, you're subscribed to Saberspark, then you're already well established and you're only watching my video for funsies. The New Norm is the very first official Twitter cartoon that was ordered to be produced by Elon Musk. The New Norm is an animated sitcom for our woke world. An edgy yet family-friendly comedy that shines a funny light on today's most divisive issues and gives Americans a safe space to come together and laugh. I feel like saying both like a family-friendly yet edgy comedy is sort of an oxymoron. Like, those things fundamentally do not clash together. With the tagline, "Make America Funny Again," this is supposed to be like an anti-woke cartoon that is self-described as the South Park of X. Now, we've seen catered to productions like Mr. Birchum and Lady Baller, specifically targeted to those who are self-described as anti-woke. Whatever the hell that means. I mean, I know what it means, but if I have to explain to the rest of the internet the true definition of woke again, I would rather go down to Florida and exist openly as a gay person without a bulletproof vest and break and enter into a Trump store. And listen, I am not saying that there's not any possible way to make fun of liberalism or wokeness or whatever y'all decide to be angry at this week. I've just noted that when it comes to making fun of liberals, or whatever, specifically conservative identified people trying to crack a joke at a liberal, it is always the same damn
My pronouns are USA.
My pronouns are kiss my.
They are ladies, look at their pronouns.
Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
The 10 pronouns are he, she, they, them, it, gross, what is that?
My pronouns are I won.
And my pronouns are patriot and ass kicker.
All right, I get it!
Like, how creatively colorblind do y'all gotta be to have all of your jokes literally be the same shade of gray? It would be impressive if it weren't so fucking sad. Now, this video theoretically could be the video that talks about this type of genre of entertainment, anti-woke media and how it doesn't work. But in order to prep in making that video, I have to actually, like, watch some of this like anti-woke content to get an understanding as to how it works and what makes it not work. But before we begin, I want to say if you do enjoy the New Norm show, that's totally fine. I am not here to change anyone's political perspective or taste in entertainment. Y'all like what you like, y'all believe in whatever you believe. Comedy is subjective. And if you think this is the funniest shit ever, good on you. I am clearly missing out on the brilliant and hilarious comedy routine that's going on here. So let's go and give it a look-see.
What the fuck? Yeah, I accidentally turned our beer really gay.
You know, the best part about having to work on this video is that I actually get to test out the new podcast set that I got going on. This is going to be the new podcasting area. I have to get some more wall decor and shit, but it's going to be for the Lazy and Friends podcast. And if you haven't watched that, you can go onto Patreon and pay for the full-length episodes or just watch the YouTube edits that are on the channel. They're some of my favorite work. Anyways, selfless plug aside, the only thing I'm a little worried about this particular recording setup is the fact that I'm in my living room and it is about 90 degrees outside, and as I've mentioned previously, I don't have any central heating, so I am sitting right next to this loud ass AC unit that I hope that you guys don't hear in the audio. But I need this on for my sake, because otherwise I would be suffering with the worst type of swamp ass. If there were a time to drain the swamp, it would be with me right this second, more like 2 days ago. Now that the conservatives are very uncomfortable and probably left a comment about how gross and disgusting and fat I am after describing a bodily function, we can finally watch this video in peace. So I am not actually watching the new norm via Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Personally, I love dead naming Twitter. It's my favorite thing to do. But I'm going to be watching the re-upload of this on YouTube because, as we all know, I always get my material through legal means.
What's that?
Progress. It's the new norm.
The new norm ain't the same as the old norm.
Okay, so we're about 16 seconds in, and I already see so many glaring problems with this. So first of all, the new norm is most definitely probably edited in Flash, which is totally fine. It's not like Flash is like an illegitimate editing software for like animation. There's a lot of shows that are made entirely on Flash that don't look like horrendous. But with this, they are not even trying. Like, most of the mouth shapes when people are talking do not match with the fucking words that are coming out of their mouth. This is an AI generated song? What the fuck is up with that? Dude, Elon Musk is a bajillionaire. Could he not have hired like an actual fucking music production team? I don't understand. Like, already, like, for a multi-billion-dollar company, this is unacceptable. Now, this is not me saying that like people with a lot of money or companies with a lot of money can't invest in smaller, cheaper projects. I'm just saying this sucks.
I'm the old norm. I want normal beer.
Warning, warning, perimeter reached.
What is that, Wheatley? Is that fucking Wheatley? Okay, can we just establish already that the first gag of this show is gay beer? Out of all the things to satire in giant quotations, that Elon Musk decided to do this of all things, despite the fact that pandering to social injustices and showing that you quote-unquote care, it's a big part of the capitalist game of getting more people to buy your product because you show that you care about a social issue, despite the fact that they only care about, you know, making the money that's in your pocket, making it their money in their pocket. They don't really care about social issues. They just slap rainbows on beer cans to get more people to buy them who are from the LGBTQ community. Except they don't really actually give a shit about the LGBTQ community. It's actually a really good capitalist strategy in order to get more like unconventional buyers, because normally speaking, like, I don't think I know a lot of like gay people that drink beer. It's mostly just like cocktails and shit that get you really fucked up. Because if there's one thing that the LGBTQ community has mastered, it's alcoholism. So they just slap rainbows on beers in hopes that that'll get people to be like, ooh, rainbow. And it never fails. Rainbow capitalism is a plague.
Ugh. It's your fault I got house arrest.
You're the one who threatened the school board.
I gently suggested
Yelled.
They stop brainwashing my daughter that girls aren't girls and men aren't men.
What is... Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm assuming that they're trying to paint this as like a unfair justice against this person, right? But if you're yelling at a school board, you are causing like a disturbance of the peace, right? Which can get you removed from areas, and if you don't comply, you get arrested for disturbance of the peace and being like a public nuisance. Already, I don't feel like sympathetic towards this particular character, even though he's supposed to be like the main character that is also meant to be like the baseline that keeps everybody relatively normal and sane. Also, I can't really emphasize enough that this idea that schools are indoctrinating kids being like, well, girls aren't actually girls and boys aren't actually, it's not happening. It doesn't happen. This is a fantasy world. The world that the new norm is trying to paint simply just does not exist. It doesn't exist in any capacity now or ever. I haven't even pointed out this part yet. Every single line of dialogue in this show has a laugh track after it, even when nothing funny has happened.
Sometimes they're neither, or both, or furry and dressed like dogs.
Ow!
Like, there's just all this laughing and cheering from an audience that does not exist, clearly. And nothing funny is happening. What is the one thing that is a gag here that's supposed to be a comedy gag that is happening here? That he gets peed on by a dog? Also, I just noticed this too. Why is, like, Norm and his wife Janice, why are they so loud? This is not meant to be, like, offensive to anybody who's, like, plus size, because, I mean, I guess that's their body type, but, like, she just looks so, like, Like, this is fucking Kingpin energy right over here.
Janice. What's that?
Warning, offensive. Actually, that is one of my pronouns. Also they, them, and me.
Is that Dave Rubin? Now, it's interesting to see Dave Rubin because, one, I don't think Dave Rubin has been relevant in fucking anything for years. And two, a lot of people are confused when they say that people like Blair White or Dave Rubin are like homophobic and transphobic, despite the fact that they are part of the LGBTQ community. And that part of their identity will never be questioned or taken away from them. I want to make that very clear. However, the reason why they particularly are transphobic and homophobic, because they are a part of communities that have community-specific problems, right? And they acknowledge being part of those communities that they have to go through and suffer with those social injustices as well, because that is what their imposed identity is. However, at the same time of acknowledging that they themselves have to acknowledge their own oppression, whenever anybody else expresses, hey, I go through this too, they just go, no, you don't. No, you don't. Like, not to mention Dave Rubin and Blair White are very clearly gay people and trans people that clearly wanted to be like contrarian to the LGBTQ movement just to get their bag. Like, they're only saying all of this like anti-gay LGBTQ stuff because it makes them money, which is even more nefarious because it's like you acknowledge that you have these community struggles and that you've been through them personally, you know, being misgendered, being discriminated because you're gay, people calling you all sorts of types of, you know, transphobic, homophobic slurs. These people have experienced those things, and yet when other people on the internet also voice, hey, I went through this and it was awful, they go, no, it's not. It wasn't that bad. And then they get paid. They get paid and they make money doing that. They make money acknowledging that they have community struggles whilst also dismissing the struggles of other people in their community. And they get paid to do it. It's so stupid. Also, did they make the Knights of Knee like a pronoun for this character? Before anybody says anything, I don't look like Chaz. Shut up.
You're non-binary?
I already don't like this impression from this person because when people come out as an alternative gender to the one that they're assigned it, it's not always like somebody looks upon them like they're this magical creature, like, oh my god. Like, trans people sometimes get infantilized, obviously, but that's like when they're getting like fetishized by chasers. Unless if this girl is supposed to be like a trans chaser and like is like infantilizing this person, because that's what that's more looking forward to. Also, not to mention, why is this person wearing a mask? Like, I just don't understand at what point did like the public safety and concern for other people, I don't know when that became like a leftist or like woke thing to wear a mask when you're sick. Like, if that's the case, then people performing surgeries who have to wear that protective gear during surgery or else they'll spread their germs and open wounds of their patients, all of them must be woke too, right? When a surgeon puts on a surgical mask or a dentist puts on a surgical mask to do surgical work, are they also woke? He's got like all these flags, like the Black Lives Matter, the gay flag, whatever. They're trying to clearly paint a stereotype of what like a woke person looks like. And again, I just don't see why being LGBTQ or being black has to be synonymous with being woke all the time. Like, I understand that these communities are inherently sometimes this because they face social injustice and they are aware of that social injustice, hence making them this. However, sometimes we just kind of want to live our lives without having to constantly like say, yes, I'm aware that I'm oppressed. You know what I mean?
Norm, the judge agreed to conditional parole.
I'm sorry, is Janice's voice actor also AI generated? That didn't sound like a normal fucking person.
To re-educate homophobic, transphobic, racist.
Charlie, finally, someone normal.
I don't understand. You're black.
Did that just black whisper?
Charlie really did just come in like, what is this? What is any of the animation of this? Seriously. Of course, this is a gag of the subversion of expectations, right? This person, this they, them. This they, them. So Chaz is under the impression that because Norm spoke out against, you know, men being men, women, whatever he said, because he spoke out against that must mean he automatically assumes he's like homophobic and transphobic and racist. And then comes in his black friend. I don't know if this needs to be said, but having black friends does not automatically exclude you from being fucking racist. Like, literally what they have just done is they made this character here a token to prove that Norm is not racist, when all it does in reality is just turn him into a token, and that's bad.
You're his friend?
And boss. Speaking of, when you coming back to the trophy shop?
As soon as I get rid of this, which means I gotta take in that?
Chaz is here to re-educate Norm.
In non-bonery studies.
So I have a question. What the fuck did any of that mean? There is so many things wrong with just the shot that I paused on. First of all of the colors are so bland in this house, and all of the shading, like, it looks like I'm looking at an MS Paint drawing that they use just like the line tool to make everything. You know what I mean? It looks, you know what this show looks like it reminds me of? It reminds me of those Go Animate like stuff. You know that stuff with like the bald Caillou thing, and they like use text to speech and then they like make it a whole like little animation thing. That's what this reminds me of. This is the exact same fucking font.
I'm allergic to dogs.
It's okay. Billy is an emotional support dog and non-binary.
Okay, so at this point, they're just throwing in the word non-binary as like a laughing point, and I don't know what the joke is. Is the joke non-binary? I mean, I guess if you're a conservative, you do see non-binary as a joke and not actually real, so yeah, maybe they do find this very funny. Oh, they're entertaining the fact that the dog could be non-binary. Isn't that so hilarious? No, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Also, what the fuck is going on with this guy's eyeballs? Why did they make his eyes 2 different colors for no fucking reason? Is it like woke? Are you a liberal if you wear contacts?
Trouble at home?
Oh, my boy, or whatever it calls themselves now, is thinking about transitioning.
Reggie?
Try Regina.
Transitioning to what?
What do you mean transition into what, dude? Like, into who they want to identify as, who they want to be. It's not that complicated.
Hey, pronoun, this bud's for you.
I can't drink. I'm not 21.
Y'all influenced my boy to cut off his junk, but draw the line at beer?
What is that? What the fuck?
It is illegal to drink underage, so him abiding by not drinking while underage, that's a pretty good moral to have. And if he is under the age to drink, then he can't possibly make any transitional choices, because you cannot get gender transition surgeries when you're a minor. There is no place in the United States that actually legalizes and allows for that. This is why this is so stupid, because they're basically making talking points that just simply don't exist, right? There is no gender transitional surgeries that children can get under the age of 18. It's not possible. It cannot be done. Unless, of course, it's with parental consent. And if they don't have parental consent, then fucking tough titties. Like, in this world, I guess they assume that, like, oh, gay people are so opposed to beer, but are so okay with kids, like, cutting off their penis and turning it into a vagina so they can be a trans woman. No, because that doesn't happen. You have to, like, argue realistic moral oppositions, not just the shit that you make up in your head.
Can't do this.
Yes, we can.
What is happening right now?
Get your fucking dog, bitch! It don't bite. Yes, it do!
I just want normals beer.
You know there'll be jokes.
What was that freeze frame? Okay, first of all, he didn't even freeze frame because he blinked right after, so what the fuck was that? And also, what do you mean there will be jokes? What are you talking about? There was no jokes in anything I just watched.
Smoke night in Maryland, thank God for Elon Musk.
What the fuck? Yo, you gotta be fucking shitting me, dog. This woke nightmare to end thanks to Elon Musk. So you lost your relationship with your daughter, and your solution was to make a little cartoon that sucks you off. That's sad. That's so sad, dude.
Why is this happening, and what am I doing here?
So here's the issues I have with this show, and I'm sure that this isn't going to be a shock to anyone when I say this, because it seems to be like the grand consensus of the internet, right? It's not funny. There is a multifaceted discussion here on what makes this so not funny, but to keep it short and not super long-winded, there is a multitude of different types of gags and comedy jokes that have been done well by other animated shows or sitcoms before that are attempted in this, and they fail so miserably. The reverse of expectation here of this supposedly anti-woke guy having a black friend doesn't work because his black friend is equally as bigoted and demeaning of LGBTQ people, or the addition of all of these gender identity stereotypes, or the random additions of neogenders of things that can't express that neogender anyway. It's not done organically, it's done so because it has to play into the stereotypes each character is already self-imposed with. Norm hates gay beer and thinks that schools are brainwashing children with this gender confusion because he's an old boomer type character. And Chaz talks all of this shit about everyone being bigoted, homophobic, transphobic, buzzword, because he's the attempted punching bag of the other characters. And everyone else is on this spectrum of the two extremes. Like, if these characters are the two ends of the extreme divide, then all the other characters are kind of plopped in on the chart like this, right? And sure, that diversity is fine if these people spoke like normal fucking people. Like, the only semi-normal sounding person is the wife, and she has, like, at max 2 lines, which is really putting women in their place here. The problem with this show really comes down to its writing, because a comedy show is banking on having good comedy writing. A comedy cartoon can look like absolute dog shit, but if its writing is peak, then people are going to ignore how bad it looks. Like, the new norm looks like Flash Adobe garbage, but if it had good comedy writing, I don't think a lot of people would care. But this is just not that. The reason being is because no one talks like a normal human being in this show. I know that Mark Zuckerberg gets hit with these cyborg accusations a lot, where he just kind of acts so weird he physically cannot function as like a normal ass person. But Elon Musk was the one who ordered this show to be made and approved of its release, and if you've seen how he talks in interviews about his beliefs, that man truly believes that people do in fact talk like this.
It's called dead naming. It's because your son is dead, killed by the woke mind virus. So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
No. That's me if I gave a fuck, but girl, which flag? The
best way I can describe this show is that it's basically Straw Man the cartoon. And I find calling it the South Park of X insulting, because South Park does have these straw men characters, but the straw men eventually get like character development and establish themselves as people, and they have meaningful relationships with the other cast members. And this is not that. And to reiterate what even a straw man is, in case you don't know, it is an argumentative fallacy where the person that you are arguing isn't actually the person you're arguing. It's this idealized opponent that is easier to dismantle and argue against because it's conflated with the most extreme ideas and arguments that your original opponent isn't even saying. It is easier to take down a straw man than it is to take down your opponent, because taking your opponent down would mean actually having to listen to what they have to say. It's essentially putting words in your opponent's mouth for you to then argue against, because you can't argue what your opponent is actually trying to say. So you take these exaggerated misinterpretations of what they're trying to say and argue against those instead, even though they didn't say that. The show's premise is built on a world taken over by this new norm, or wokeness, that puts people under house arrest if they say an opinion that general society doesn't like. And I can promise you, no one is doing this. Nobody is possibly doing this today, because otherwise we wouldn't be having so many Nazi marches in the streets. Like, we don't live in a world that In Praise of Shadows wants to live in. People generally can say whatever they really want. Conservatives just don't seem to like the consequences of saying those things. We aren't asking for Discount Wheatley to put us under house arrest every time we're canceled on Twitter or some bullshit. Also, and just to reiterate this man, in this case scenario, did not get in trouble because he was speaking up about the trans indoctrination in the school. He is under house arrest because he yelled at staff at a school and he was causing a disturbance of the peace, which then got him removed from the premises, but if he didn't cooperate, he was then arrested for being a public nuisance. So immediately, I am not feeling bad for this old norm here, because it's suggesting what was the old norm is yelling at people when they don't agree with your political views, which honestly also is the new norm as well today. Maybe this whole thing is just a giant oxymoron. The biggest issue I have with the new norm, other than this is clearly a cartoon made to clearly suck Elon Musk off, it's trying to poke fun at wokeness and liberal values without knowing what they even are. Like, Elon's knowledge of leftist ideology is literally just the dumb wojaks that he steals and posts on his Twitter account. It is very hard to poke fun at something and make jokes about woke culture and being woke when you don't even know what that is. Having a rainbow can of beer isn't woke. It is performative because companies don't really care about human rights issues. They care about catering to buyers by showing that they totally do care. And yet somehow this show thinks that performative rainbow capitalism is like the worst thing ever, even though being a pandering slacktivist directly fuels and contributes to capitalism. Capitalism is woke, bro. It's taken over. Also, this is such a weird thing for Twitter to make because it's being produced by Twitter and Elon, but also it is the cheapest looking cartoon I've ever seen in my life. Elon Musk is a multi-billionaire whose familial wealth is built off of South African slave labor mining for blood diamonds. Or something. And the dude has to rely on AI to make their fucking theme song? Like, they literally couldn't hire, like, any openly anti-gay, anti-woke musician or artist or something? Like, get Skillet to do it! Or Kid Rock! Fuck! But, you see, this is just reflective on Elon's business model. Make one good innovation and then ride on that success as you pump out a bunch of cheap garbage. Guys, I made the first electric car. Isn't that amazing? Now, please ignore the fact that the Cybertruck looks like a dumpster and also malfunctions all the damn time. And my most recent Tesla models are now spontaneously combusting in the middle of parking lots. But hey, at least I made this funny anti-woke cartoon that is about as funny as South Park. Dude, South Park would mop the floor with your bitch ass. Shut the fuck up. And here's something that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and it's the fact that even though the attempt of this show is to cater to more like right-leaning people, it treats them like they're fucking stupid. Now, I am somewhat hypercritical of conservative ideology and right-leaning politics, but I know why people identify as such, and I promise you the reasons why are really not that stupid. The reason is that people like familiarity, they like consistency, they like a routine, and when there is change, whatever that change is, they're gonna protest it because it's not familiar to them. Living creatures instinctively have an aversion to things that they don't understand. They have an aversion to things that are not familiar to them. So a conservative identified person will have an aversion to the transgender movement because they are so ingrained and used to male and female being their only options their whole lives. This also is just a means of not wanting to look stupid and not wanting to feel like your education was wrong and you actually don't know jack shit. I mean, think about it. If for decades our education has taught us that there is only male and female and nothing else outside of that, and then research and developments in science and technology and biology finds that there are more options than just that, and now your education and knowledge is outdated, so you feel stupid for getting the wrong information. And if only your original education wasn't already previously debunked, you wouldn't be in this position to begin with, so now you're just in denial. Honestly, this sort of perfectly reflects on the relationship between Elon and his daughter Vivian right now. Elon is smart. Look, I can't say that just because he's a billionaire who hires a bunch of people to make him look smart doesn't mean that there isn't a brain up here. So when his daughter came out as trans and started HRT and transition, this bachelor's degree physician can't understand it, has never scientifically studied what being trans is and what medications are involved and what they do. So as a Stanford student, not understanding these things makes him feel so stupid. And Elon doesn't like looking or feeling stupid because he doesn't understand something. So he rejects it entirely. He rejects it so hard that he becomes an absent father and tells everyone that his son is dead, and says being trans is linked to a combination of being gay and autistic. As if those stars specifically have to align for a gay person to evolve into a trans person. Like, if you're just gay, you will always just be gay. But as soon as you're just a little bit autistic, then you are just destined to be a trans person, according to Elon Musk. Elon is so rejected by not understanding something that he made an entire ass cartoon in which the AI theme song literally sucks him off and says that he's the savior of comedy. And it's like, this has to be like a fucking joke, cause what? I mean, granted, this is the only joke in the entire show that I found funny, but you know. Anyways, so the reason this show isn't even liked by its own audience that it's trying to pander to is because it treats them like they're stupid. That's the point that I was originally trying to make before I got fucking sidetracked. Conservatives have heard it for years, especially on the internet, about how dumb they are, how out of touch they are, how stupid they are. And so when they see a cartoon is being made specifically catered to their comedy and their preferences, it's probably nice to not be seen as the butt end of the joke for once. And instead, what they get is talking point, laugh track. It's a self-aggrandizing ego trip that makes conservatives look like that the only thing they care about is gay people. I mean, if I were a conservative, I would also be insulted by this too, because I would have more talking points than just LGBTQ bad all the time. This show more so enforces this stereotype that the only thing that conservatives care about is shitting on the LGBTQ. And that's just unproductive, not only just for LGBTQ people because they're being represented by this strawman character, but it's also not helpful for conservatives because it makes them look like they care about this one specific thing and nothing else. And this one specific thing they care so much about is literally so insignificant, which in turn actually comes back around to make them look stupid again.
But hey, what do I know? I'm just a lazy bedhead. And I'm also a cartoon for some reason. What the fuck is up with that? Oh, what? Did you guys honestly think that I would just make this entire video just to announce that I'll be streaming right after this upload? What is... No, but honestly, this video was really fun for me to make. It was so much easier to edit in comparison to my hour-long productions. And it's very nice that, thanks to you guys, I get to take these little mini breaks in between my big projects and still get to post at least weekly content for you guys. And you will watch it and support it, and I really appreciate all that you do for me. Speaking of thanks, I have to thank these very special people. $5 Patreon supporters get a special thank you character and a special shout out from me. So if you want to support me on Patreon, you should support me at the $5 tier so that you can see me draw you as a little eepy guy. And eventually I will have to draw so many of these. So a special thank you to Alder Garibay, Fandom the Hoe, MellowMylo, John X Woodcat, wallsxmigraine, L Peace, Magnolia, Skye The UwUing One, Ethan, Bacon Pierogi, DK Domo, Seraphim, Angelintestines, AmberLeigh, John Fanon, The Piper at Dawn, Jordan Ogle, Mamiko Megamine, NoctiSketch, Grimmy, Average Sytrus User, Gamblor, Bob, JellyfishPrincesss, FunStuffies, MatryoshkaMark, Springlock Grave, Trippy, Rudy Jazz, Glizzard, Johnny Boy, Rice Smatty, Pastel UFOs, and Gwendolyn Von Holt. Thank you for watching, and as I mentioned previously, I will be going live later playing Supermarket Simulator after the upload of this video. It's going to be a lot of fun, so do join us. I'd love to see you. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!